Like, oh, tempted fate there. Right, now I hit this go live button.
At least you got it out of the way. Maybe you'll get none next year.
And we're now live, and that means I'm going to read out the following. You are listening to Let's Go JoJo, the weekly JoJo's Bizarre Adventure podcast about weekly anime from Dynamite in the Brain and Secret of the Sailor Madness. So come along and hang with the Let's Go gang. It's Dwayne.
Hello.
It's Niall.
How are you?
And it's me, Brian. And on this episode, we are covering anime that aired the week of December the 3rd to December the 10th, 2022. With a couple of exceptions, starting with the first one, it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 6, Stone Ocean, Episode 26, Bohemian Rhapsody, Part 2.
It was nice when that was coming out on the week we were talking about it that one time.
That one time, yeah.
Fastest over this, that one. I'm surprised at how much, how averse they are with like having to change names and things like that. How much they actually got away with. Because when I was reading this ages ago, I thought, how are they going to get half of this in?
Well, very cleverly have people point and go, look, it's Batman, and never actually show Batman. That's that's pretty good. Yeah.
Pretty sure Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring is public domain now, so it's grand.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I didn't check the cast. Did they actually get Shigeru Chiba in to do the narration, or was that a very good Shigeru Chiba?
Oh, yeah,
impression?
It was just like it, wasn't it?
God, yeah, that's definitely, if so that's what we're going for, great.
Because apparently in this world, Tokyo is now destroyed because Kenshiro and Rao had a fight there.
What if all fictional characters real? This is like, what Concrete Revolution promised us. What if all fiction was real?
This does appear to be like is this the biggest stand incident that is public knowledge?
Yes, but it's also one of the cleanestly covered up ones, so I'll give it that. Yeah.
Well, this is like, I suppose this is going over the entire planet, I guess like the climax of part 5, that was affected the vicinity of Rome. And I'm pretty sure people didn't know what the hell was going on anyway because they were swapping bodies and shit.
Yeah, that would have been pretty big. Like, that would have been like at least a couple of million people and
yeah, I kind of
switching bodies for a bit. Yeah,
I kind of now want to see a spin-off which is like how the rest of the world views the events of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure from the outside.
You could show from the point of view of Kashibe Rohan, who would not get involved at all.
There is
fictional characters have come to life.
There is
how can I use this to profit?
Yeah, there's a currently running spin-off of Stone Ocean about a woman who draws erotic fan art for other inmates at the prison.
Good work if you can get it.
And then gets a stand power.
Involving that?
I think so. I haven't looked.
It sounds very fan fictiony now, though. If it's a power based on drawing erotic fan fiction.
Yeah, although it's Fujiko's Bizarre Worldly Wisdom is what it's called. Who's the main character in this? It is Fujiko Fujiyama, so I guess she's a fufu as opposed to a JoJo. Yeah, what is her stand power? Her stand power is Bad Romance.
Great.
Its ability allows them to control the mental state of those who receive a drawing from her.
Presumably horny.
Well, the example picture is Jolene making an incredibly horny face. Yes.
Okay.
Maybe they'll animate that as a spin-off at some point.
Yeah. Well, it's all down to what wherever the porn industry goes for. They're usually the dictators of what media gets made ultimately.
So with this, yes, we learn partway through the episode that the 3 lads that Enrico ran into at the hospital, they're all sons of Dio, who fate has brought to him in order for them to throw their bodies between him and Jolene so he can carry out his destiny. And we're going to be dealing with this one is Ungallo, the guy who stabbed him in the neck. And it's like, yes, he's Anasui has been separated from his body. He's very shocked he hitched a ride. It gets very confusing because it's like other people can see him, but Weather Report can't. Weather Report appears not to be affected by the power because he's amnesiac, and so therefore none of the stories have any meaning to him.
But the thing is, I think the version of Anasui who's walking around with Weather Report isn't like his body. It's like it's the story Weather Report is telling himself of me and Anasui are going to find Jolene. So he's brought a fictional version of Anasui with him to go find Jolene. So Anasui's like, oh fuck, there's my body. I better go catch my body. And it's like, no, that's.
But it is his body because Weather Report then gets separated from his body, and then they dissolve at the end, and they're going to go back to their bodies.
But it's some kind of weirdness where it's just like that Anasui isn't behaving normally. Like I think he robbed a sweets shop at some point. We don't know why.
It's like he gets trapped in the story of like the Big Wolf and the 7 little kids. I forget what the probably end up was, but it's like, well, there's no Anasui in the story, but he's trapped in it, so he needs somebody to be the wolf in the story. So that's you now. Do you know Anasui or the wolf? But then it also has to be an Anasui in this other story happening at the same time. So these stories had to make sense. So it has to go according to what was written.
Yes.
If you get pulled into the fiction, you get kind of pulled out of your own body, which goes off and seemingly does its own fucking thing. But you become drawn into the story of the fictional character that you have an affinity with.
Attempting to recap it makes less sense than when I was watching it.
It's sheer fucking madness, weird. But that's the kind of chaos of it. Like when cut to news report of Tokyo being destroyed by Kenshiro and Rao, that kind of thing.
So Anasui is chasing down his body. He follows it to a sweet shop. The sweet shop owner won't let him in because Anasui apparently was here before and wrecked the place. And Anasui's like, I'll pay you if you just tell me where he went. And the best gag of the thing is him using Diver Down to steal the money out of the till in order to pay it back. And then
shove it in the door to the man. Yeah. And like Anasui sees that his body is still inside the sweet shop and is escaping out the back door. He's like, I gotta get my body. I gotta get in there. But the cops have since arrived. And the cops are like, we're looking, they have a photo, like, are you the guy we're looking for, kind of thing? And he turns on and is like, I don't know what you say, officer. Because he stuffed his face full of chocolate, like under, like a dermal implant, something.
Like under his skin, and he just spits it out there. He's like, that's how it works. It's all linked up in the head.
But he only spits one out because we see the chocolate that he spat out later is a half-eaten goat, because it turns out that there weren't chocolates that he ate. He ate 6 of the 7 goats from the fairy tale that I had quite forgotten until this episode brought it back around.
Oh,
again.
No.
Yeah, it's one of the good ones that you remember because it's one of those fucked up German ones that you will never forget fully. And he doesn't remember it until he breaks a grandfather clock, which the littlest kid is hiding in. And he's like, "You ate my brothers and sisters. I'm gonna tell my mother and you, and she's gonna cut you open with the scissors." I'm reading this from the book that we just popped out of now.
And before we even get to that, he's like, "Where's the chocolate shop owner?" And then he's run off. He's turned into Prince Charming and run off with Snow White.
His dream has come true.
But this is where the introduction of like you've got to follow the story to its ending, and so Snow White has followed the story to her ending of the story by dragging the chocolate shop owner to become Prince Charming. And so that's where Anasui's now trapped in the story of Mother Goat and the 7 young goats. And
he's playing the wolf, which is not a good part to play in that story. Yeah,
because the mum's going to come home, grab a pair of scissors, cut you open, and pull out 6 of her children.
Oh, and put in 6 stones, and then throw you into a well and drown.
Is this a stop motion story that the Poo Poo Molcar?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That suddenly dawned on me. I hadn't connected them until I was saying these words out loud.
It is like maybe there's someone had that in mind, but it was this like strange like proliferation of like fairy tale books that's kind of scattered all around Florida here. People just like on the break, just crack into some ASOS tables to get a bit of wisdom. I just want to like expand.
Unfortunately, if you break out a Green Dolphin, like the district that's right there in Florida is the storybook district, and it's the worst possible place you could go. Honestly, in this particular instance,
and meanwhile, Weather Report is running to Van Gogh's self-portrait. He's like, "Hello, I'm Van Gogh's self-portrait. I'm going to tell you all about Van Gogh." And then you're going to go, I like this picture. And then you'll turn into a self-portrait as well and shoot yourself in the head twice.
Because, like, you were drawn... You don't know much about anything, but you did like art, and you were drawn to the story of Van Gogh's self-portrait with one ear, that kind of thing. And it's just like, well, now you're going to get shot twice in the head because you're me and I'm you. And it's just like, wait, what? It's like, yep, you can't escape the way this goes down, including, Yeah,
and Weather Report's been tracing where the user is, and he's quite far away. He sends
He's going north, so I'll send a rain cloud to ruin the fucking road,
but now
basically.
He's south, and he dawns on him. Oh, he's in the sky. And then he solves the logic puzzle of it following to the end of the story by forcing Van Gogh's self-portrait to draw a creation of his own devising, he's written the story for in his head. Called
that was brilliant, because initially the solution seems to be get caught up in a happy ending fairy tale, like you live happily ever after with Snow White. It's like, oh, you don't fucking die then. That's fantastic. It's like, no, make up a character called Mr. Go Back or something like that.
Yes, I would have called him Mr. as well, but he hasn't got. My brain had written in Mr. onto his hat.
Mr. or Captain. He looks very superhero-y with that mustache that grows outside his mask.
Yes.
But it's just like, and he puts back all the fictional characters back into their stories and puts us back safely in our bodies with all these memories, so we don't fucking think anything's gone wrong. And that's his power, and that's the end of the story.
My dinosaur that eats force field dogs. It's
exactly.
that kind of like thing. I mean, if we're gonna be doing with like fun children's stories, we may as well like children's fun rules for fun and saying, nope, I got invisible bullet laser shields.
Because it becomes like it's initially like storybook characters, or also, I mean, like it starts with characters on signs and everything, but it becomes like paintings and everything. Any depiction of a character can come alive. So I just need Van Gogh or Van Gogh's a depiction of Van Gogh to draw on the ground a picture of this character I've just created to solve this thing. And meanwhile, your man's in the airplane like freaking out because he just saw Aladdin and the genie outside the plane, and she's reading about Aladdin. How can that be? He should be real now.
Yes, and he just breaks his brain. He doesn't get beaten up. He doesn't die. He's just defeated, goes into a catatonic state because it makes no sense. We also learned that all the storybook characters who came alive are back, except for Pinocchio. He's still missing.
At large.
Pinocchio's the only one who got killed. Wow, that sucks, man. It's fine. He's got 3 movies this year. It's okay.
What? Who? What? I don't know what you're talking about. You're all the what? Oh. How you enjoying the new intro? It's gone from more of that kind of it's just the serious bit of the story, so it's like more of the dramatic ballad.
Yeah, it's still like referencing like a lot of the stuff that's already happened as well, though. So that's
good. And what will happen? And there's like it was like it's kind of slow. It's kind of but there's one bit in the middle of it, all kind of flashing by for do understand a bit of this. But it goes to Emporio, hasn't got a stand that he can't perceive. It's just him firing a revolver.
What can the kid do? Give him a gun. There we go. Perfect.
So look forward to that.
The trailer, the spoiler in the trailer was the reveal that those 3 guys were Dio's sons, so that wasn't too badly spoiled in the trailer.
Yeah, it's not too far into it. So it's not the worst spoiler.
There's a few other spoilers in there, but they're ones
what an awful trailer.
They're things you would have guessed which are going to happen. The other stuff is
right.
Yeah.
Parallel universes. Keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we check in with some of the worst animation that the series has had so far as Jolene visits her ex-boyfriend Romeo for some money and some car keys.
And he's very apologetic and very like, oh, I'm so sorry, I did you so bad, baby. They wouldn't let me visit you in prison. It's like, I was like, when's the aura coming? When's the aura coming?
It's even better than that, though, because
it's fantastic. Yes.
She stuck one of Hermes' stickers on his tongue, and they listened in.
When she was like, shh, touching his tongue as well, which is weird. Put your finger in his mouth, but all right. So
he's very scared. She's person's hardened her up some.
And apparently, if you make a copy of somebody's tongue, you can hear what they're saying, even though they haven't.
Because the tongue's wiggling and it's pronouncing all the words. That's how it works. So they're outside with a copy of his tongue, and it's just like, all right, I'm just going to peel the sticker off because he's just calling the cops, and he's like, yeah, she called me on the phone. No, she hasn't been here. She's going to Mexico. And it's like, wow, I guess he did. Really, he didn't rat us out. He trusted me in the end. He was apologetic about what he did. He clearly was on the keys that he gave them. It's like,
he put you in prison. Oh yeah.
Tear sticker off. It's like, yeah, fuck him, just in case,
Yeah, it's like he still deserves this. So
100% deserves to have his tongue fucking mashed the fuck with another
tongue fly. Well, he's going to break his teeth. I imagine it's
probably on the way in. Yeah, for sure.
In the victory. It's going to need like that thing wired shut for a couple of months.
Good.
And then Emporio is really excited because one of the keys he gave them was to a helicopter, and he wants you to drive a helicopter.
That seems like a bad idea. I don't know much about helicopters, but
I've read plenty of books in prison.
And these two ladies seem like the sort of two ladies who may allow a child to fly a helicopter. I
can't fly a helicopter. Did you have Flight Simulator on that computer you had in that room inside the prison? Let's say yes. Let's assume yes.
A good episode, except for the couple of bits inside the house, which are terribly, terribly drawn.
I mean, like, it's funny and dramatic, and that's all great. The writing's great in it, but yeah, it doesn't look as good towards the end.
It's just the stuff in the house, because when they're outside the house having a chat, they look fine again. So I guess it was just a scheduling.
Just the weird lighting, yeah.
A scheduling problem, which just led to some rough-looking. Romeo gets the worst of it. His proportions are changing from shot to shot. But of course,
it was important that they animated the little kids bit good. The weird little fucking freakish stand fucking goats, and that they transformed him into a werewolf pretty well as well. That's the second werewolf transformation in 2 episodes. What the fuck?
It's just kind of like whenever you see any kind of storybook in these Hero comics, it's all done in that fucking Oingo Boingo style. It's like, see that nightmare come to life. I mean, from Pinocchio, why does he have such sharp, like, monster teeth? He's made out of wood. Who carved that in there?
My little headcanon is that Boingo's art style became the most dominant art style for any new works.
Child prodigy. He had a hard life.
But the tongue thing does suggest that Araki's grip on human anatomy is getting worse and worse. And we'll see if we get to JoJo Lion animated, his grip on dog anatomy is even further behind.
I've seen Iggy.
Look up.
It's a dog with the face of a man. So
No, he looks much more like the dog than much more like a dog than the dog in JoJo Lion.
Okay.
To the point where somebody's saying it's the dog is a helpful assistance to the reader to know that it is a dog that they're looking at. These goats, yes, these are the mother particularly with the massive amount of teats all over her body.
Yeah.
It's good because like that story is a fucking horror story for children, and it's presented as such in this, so it works quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of one of the Nen beasts in the current arc in Hunter x Hunter. Then we got to Tatami Time Machine Blues, episode 4, not 5 as it said in our notes, because I'd called it 4 last week. And I got confused because I read my own notes and I was watching episode 5 and I was like, I feel like I've missed a bit, but have I missed a bit? Because this is a time machine story. And then I saw Niall in the chat saying, should this be episode 4? And I was like,
We haven't been a time machine travel yet in this podcast. We're just about cracked nuclear fusion. That's a time machine. It can't be far behind, but not yet.
Oftentimes when you get the number wrong, Brian, I'm like, obviously my notes are wrong. I shan't correct.
So this time they're stuck in yesterday.
Yeah,
and they've got it's another case of finagling events from the first episode to happen, to the extent where. She's not the raven-haired girl in this. That's the name of the character in
Akashi is the
Akashi's. Yes, the very similar name. There's a very similar character from the Night is Short. Essentially asks herself out by getting I to ask her, make sure to ask me out because you've already asked me out in my past.
She's the version of her who has been asked out, so she is, and she was like, yes. She has already responded in the affirmative, so it's clearly something she wants. So to get him to ask her out from the past is just like, I did want that because I did agree to it already.
Past me will be okay with this. I would trust me to.
Yeah. Current me is okay with it because I said yes.
Yeah, you have to do it because you've already done it.
Because causality. Yeah.
The big thing we're worried about. Of course, the worry gets much worse when somebody leaves the remote control to the air conditioner 100 years in the past.
There's the episode. This episode is leading up to him asking her out, but having to do it, not to break the universe, kind of thing, rather than doing it because grow up hair, man. But there is the many bits where we get, it's like, that's why I get this conversation.
It's
like
wrapped up in cling film as well. So I wonder if
yeah,
in the future, because so it involves a lot. So it's
it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's perfectly preserved. That's the fucking key.
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
So I wonder when they tear down the building in the future, they're going to dig up their remote control in the future, and
break time.
Tamura's then going to travel back in time to give it to the one 6 months in the future who we see in this one to give to himself to take back.
So the idiots basically have figured out, we've figured out a foolproof method, right? Well, instead of stealing the remote, because that'll break reality, right? We'll wrap it in cling film, and that way, when there's Coca-Cola spilled on it, it'll be grand. What's the problem? It's it didn't have Coca-Cola on it when it spilled Coca-Cola on it, so it fucking wouldn't make sense.
They have to fix it at some point as well, though, because it's working in the future. I
thought for a second the idiots were thinking that that cling film would negate the time damage that it was going to cause, because they're that fucking stupid. Like, one of them was just like, we need to hide the time machine because your man's coming in. It's like, what do we do? Well, we could just go to the yesterday from here, like, and then come back in like 10 minutes and it'll be gone. But he was dicking about with it. It's like, oh yeah, I'll do it. It's like, we're not sending you. You're the biggest idiot thing. And your man's just like, yeah, I said it for like 100 years ago. And he's like, what? So the guy who we know gets trapped in the past at some point to become the legend of the Kappa from the swamp, goes back in time 100 years into a swamp because there's no building there. So I assume he falls like 2 stories into a swamp.
Yes.
Which is great.
Drags the time machine out, comes back a moment later to yell at them. Then he has to apologise because he left the remote control behind, even though he was doing that. He had it in his hand at the time because he was trying to stop the stupid idea that the Master's girlfriend had. And the Master was about to travel 100 years in the past, and they were like, don't let him do that.
He'll fuck it up. He'll absolutely 100% fuck it up if we send him.
Yes.
Didn't they have to hide the time machine because it's because the guy came looking for his other pair of glasses. I didn't realize that was going to be a plot point either. And there's a time machine there, and they're like, "What's that?" It's like that thing there. It's like, what? They're just ignoring it, and then they lock him in a room, time travel the time machine away, and then let him out. It's like, "Where's the time machine gone?" It's like, "What time machine? What are you talking about?" Yeah. So that's why he was acting weird in the first time he saw the time machine. He was like, yeah, there's that fucking time machine again.
Because they're having to remind themselves, which one of him is this? This is the one from yesterday. He's the one guy who hasn't time travelled yet. Right?
Yes, we haven't brought him with us. We brought a lot of people with us, so it's very confusing. Yeah.
So they all have to get on the time machine, except for who has to stay behind.
And meet yesterday's dame off the back from the bathhouse.
Yes. And then get out before he arrives, even though the other people think he's already been here.
Yeah. I was also thinking because of causality, he was going to say, I'll do the naked dance, in order so that they'd think he was going to do the naked dance. But no, they forced that upon him in the past as well.
Yes.
So.
If you're going to be a dry shite and not like go for drinks with us afterwards, you've got to do this thing. If I'm saying, no, fuck off, I'm out of here. But then he, what is it now? He has to fucking avoid them again. And that is him fucking hiding. He has to
hide in the wardrobe of the room where the Coca-Cola has been spilled on the remote, and he's there for the whole scene trying to avoid his own stare, basically. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's pretty great.
Yes, I think the remote control is the main character. I think the remote control is the character. Yeah. Once it ends, you can go back and follow the remote control story, and that will be the one story which will be entirely linear.
Yeah, that would be the the order to watch it in. Follow the remote control. Jeez.
Particularly if it ends up with if somehow the one in the past is the one they got from the future. I think it has to be, because otherwise a second remote control has appeared from nowhere, and that doesn't feel like how this story is going to work.
Infinite remote controllers been passed through the eons. It's been there since the fucking beginning of the universe.
Yeah, because someone's son from the future, that adorably scruffy character, lovingly scruffy character, has basically went, I'll solve this pretty easy. I'll see you in a minute, and he goes to the future, takes the remote control that they have functional in the future from himself. Just like,
I knew I would do this one day.
Oh yeah, here you go, no bother. It's like, because it was working in the future. I mean, like, that building's going to be torn down in my time, because it is incredibly old. It's incredibly old here. So what do you think it's going to be like in like 20 fucking years? Like, come on.
The condition still works, though. I mean,
the AC still works.
Pretty durable.
The remote control was a bad idea for an interface, but it still fucking works that many years later. So that's a pretty impressive, yeah.
Yeah, so that's now the mystery. It's like, why is it working in the future when the remote control's not working now?
It's from like, the reason it doesn't have buttons on the front is because, if the remote doesn't fit, you just use like your evolved telepathy to actually turn it on or something. It's from the year 30,000 or something.
Then we've got Poo Poo Molcar Driving School, episode 9, Heart Racing Lessons on the Moon, in which the Molcars go to the moon for a driving lesson.
A grand day out.
You gotta learn how to drive in zero gravity, man. It's basic fucking car maintenance.
One of the new ones, whose name I don't know, spots a rabbit and chases it. And then there's some meteors that breaks the carrot of the rabbit. Then they're discovered by some astronauts riding a Molcar. That Molcar, for some reason, doesn't need a mask to be on the moon.
It's acclimatized to space.
Okay. And then turns out it was all
naturally
a dream.
occurring.
It was all a dream, thankfully.
It wasn't a dream because they have the space carrot at the end. Yeah. And they couldn't eat it on the moon because they were all wearing oxygen masks and things.
It's one of those dreams, yeah, where you're trying to eat food, but your mouth is melted off, and you're just like, very scary. Yeah.
That was anyway. Some different sets from the driving school. I watched the episode this week of Don Brothers was about a driving school, and I don't know whether this helped me with watching that or that helped me understand Poo Poo Molcar Driving School. But regardless, it was very similar situation as to Poo Poo Molcar.
Learning how to drive on the moon.
Yeah,
and they weren't on the moon, but the general driving school.
It's like when you're learning to take you out to the big empty car park. What's more empty than the moon? It's just easy to drive around. You won't crash in it. It might in a crater, but it'll be easy to lift it out because there's lesser gravity.
Yeah.
Then it's Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun. Oh, they could do driving lesson episodes of this as well. Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun. Season 3, episode 9. The Dorodoro Brothers Provocation, in which we get a backstory on the Dorodoro brothers, and we get a backstory on the training the lads did with Balam.
Because I was watching the whole time, and I was like, we're going to get our master back. And I was like, is that the master they're talking about? And in this episode, it's like, no, this is a case of mistaken identity.
It's just immediately when you see that when there's their master, he hasn't got weird bird feet, though, so it's not bad.
They do the thing of faking out with the furry collar, though, so... Yes. Yeah, it's the wrong color if you were paying attention.
Yes, and also he then takes his mask off, and we see it's the guy we suspected it would have been based on the background we'd been given for him.
I'm pretty sure it's Balam talking into that Plague Doctor mask, though, right? The same actor to make you think it's supposed to be him. It's either that or that guy doing an impression of him.
Could be, yes. Also, he did not seem to love the brothers as much as the brothers thought he loved them either.
Oh man.
Well, it's mostly because when they're like, oh man, we got to get our master back. Yeah, he was a super badass soldier of war and like always womenizing and doing all the things. They're like, really? Balam? I mean, like, he's fair. Like, he's not really much of a presence and he's badass.
That's what Grace on at the end after defeated him and saying, well, like, maybe he's got that kind of like, kind of easy thing going on, but they're saying, yeah, man, he's always womanizing around. Don't know about women. He's always getting very touchy with us, though.
Very touchy, very like patting our heads and stuff. It's like, head pats. What the fuck? It's like, yeah, you wouldn't because you're not talking about the same guy, you idiots.
But the reason he took the brothers of the wing is because they have this. Their blood magic is
very annoying voices.
Yes, it makes your people's blood level rise. And they took on the new names of the Dorodoro brothers because they quit school immediately. It's like it's a power nobody envies, but of course, we know of Furfur. Yes, he would love this power because he loves winding people up.
Oh, absolutely! I got to get you boys on side. That's going to be hilarious.
Yes, and so he was using it against the lads, but they cottoned on, and then they deal with them by. Asmodeus going into his evil cycle.
Yeah, you can
force it now. That's the thing they
willingly go into it. Yeah, it's by a combination of training, meditation, and strong drugs.
Yes,
the good drug, the bad drug, the good drug, the bad drug. Back and forth with that, and just until you get the hang of it. But you have to do it in pairs because if you do this alone, you're not coming back from it. So
you need a
the other guy
lifeline.
has to know your safe word.
Yes, which is for Asmodeus, Iruma. So yes, you have the sight of and one man calling out a different man's name to turn the other man back to normal. But also, Asmodeus's evil cycle appears to him just letting his inhibitions down.
Yeah, he appears drunk and horny.
Yes.
So that's mostly like how he appears to be evil. Not angry. I mean, like he's very violent, but yeah, drunk and horny mostly. He lets his hair down, literally, I think. Yeah,
he does. Yes, he literally lets his hair down. Yes, and then we get the smoothest animation of the episode of him going wild. Also in a cartoon manner by grabbing things by his legs and bashing them from side to side. Yeah, it seems a very dangerous way, but I guess it gives these. And I guess we're teased with Sabnok doing the same at some point.
Yes, yeah, and what that would look like. Yeah.
So they managed to get this. It's a giant bird which has like a fruit dangling from its neck that they fight.
It's a big flamingo with a tasty apple hanging off it. Yeah.
Bird, yeah. They just wanted the fucking apple. I think they fucking killed the bird in the process of this.
Well, as long as they didn't get tricked into killing one of the two brothers, which was their plan. It's just like, we'll get him to attack us, and then they'll get disqualified. It's like, oh god, he's going to kill us. We're in a lot of fucking trouble.
Not if one of us gets the points.
Then we got Spy Family episode 22, the underground tennis tournament, the CAMPBELLDON, in which it goes firmly into Shonen Jump territory.
Yep.
As we get a secret underground tennis tournament. This is the mission that they were to go on, which was mentioned last week when she wasn't trying to break up the marriage.
I appreciate that last week. It was just she goes to the house, she arrives, and they have a conversation, and it's all animated on threes. And then this is the one they were saving the animation for, the tennis tournament, obviously, yeah.
Painting with a hidden code. In a private collection, volume is due with ties to shade individuals. We has an underground tennis tournament.
The winner can pick anything from his hoard.
Yes, well, it's an underground tennis tournament. Yes, so that the black market dealers and mafia dons are betting on it. No, it's fun, brutal, no holds barred fun. Yeah, I understand that. Why tennis, though? Why not?
Yeah, I appreciated. I think it was her explanation of it. Just like I just figured he was into tennis. It's just like tennis is his thing, and therefore everyone's mad gambling on tennis and screaming at the competitors and everything.
No, Twilight, this is the mission. I didn't decide it's going to be tennis. This is what we got to work with, okay? Focus up.
So she's constructing an identity where they're a married pair of amateur tennis players. So that lots of strangers screaming obscenities at them while they bet on them will know that they are married in this scenario. Yeah.
Yes. And she's gone for the of course tennis anime uniform of the long blonde wig with the curls at the
curls.
End. Yes.
Whereas he looks more like Solid Snake as a tennis player. I don't know. I think it's a headband.
So kind of like the fucking John McEnroe.
Yeah.
Kind of a look
the
there.
Kind of
He's kind of like the bad boy.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was that or Jimmy Connors, just because I've seen Jimmy Connors as a go-to reference in anime tennis episodes before. So he claims that he's dabbled a bit, does Twilight, in tennis.
He practiced with his family just for this mission, and
it turns out the pair of them are incredibly good, but the problem is the opposition, after the first couple of matches, just cheat. We had a couple of guys who take massive amounts of drugs to make themselves incredibly muscular in a way that I suspect would not help you play tennis.
Like, it's good to be muscular for tennis. It is, but that's going to slow you down more so than anything.
The first fucking two dudes.
They were retired pros, yeah.
The retired pros have been training,
we train for tennis in the mountains. We never stop the art of tennis.
You lost your eye for this, man.
They've apparently been attacked by bears while practicing tennis and shit. Yeah, it's not fucking clear, but it is weird.
And then the pair of them get gassed in the changing rooms, but they manage to block most of it off. For the final,
by holding their breath for 10 minutes.
Yes, which is against the children of the guy who's running the tournament, and they've got engine-powered rackets.
And wasn't that an extendo whip racket? And the guy of the sibling pair has a rocket racket. And I did appreciate in this, like, they show how they counteract their cheating methods while never explaining it. Like it does go full shonen, but it doesn't explain. It's like, he hit the ball close to his head, so he couldn't set off the rockets close to his fucking face or something. It's like, it doesn't talk down to its audience. It feels like, yeah, you can see how they're playing against them and their cheaty ways.
They lose the first set, but then they come back in the second, and so they have to start cheating even more by moving bits of the court around.
It's a trick court.
That's how cliffhanger is like, how are they going to get past this next bit of cheating? This next level of cheating. As you mentioned, they do call themselves, or rather, she has called them the Phonies, is the family name they're given. And so you have the commentators constantly referring to them as the phony pair.
That's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really interesting. She wants to impress them, you know. And she can be like, the perfect partner both on and off the court, you know.
It keeps cutting into like her fantasies in her head, or like again, her outside I sound like a complete asshole dialogue, and her interior is like, oh, are you seeing me, Twilight? Are you seeing how good I'm playing tennis? She thinks this is going to win him over. Yeah,
but she's letting the emotion in. It's affecting her game. She's going too hard, too fast. So I was talking about Nightfall. You let only some emotion in, but you know, it's okay if you care about people. It's okay to say that.
And meanwhile, there's a little scene with your Anya and Bond, where Anya almost gives away that she can read people's minds.
But fortunately, her mother is, like every other character in this show, also stupid. So, yeah. Well, like her mom's worrying is like, oh my god, he said he's going to like an office tennis thing. So is that woman going to be there, and is he going to go off and marry her because she's way better at tennis and shit? And it's like, maybe I should kill her. No, I can't be thinking about killing her. I can only kill for the government. I can't kill for my own personal needs. That's wrong.
She says like a particular line, and then Anya's responds to it by saying, "Don't worry, Mummy," and then. She's like, did she read how she know what I was thinking? And then she says, I'm sure Dad will win a trophy.
Yeah. But that does sort of work to assail her fears, because it reaffirms this, like, Lloyd's grand, don't worry about Lloyd.
Oh, yeah, I mean, because the other thing about Lloyd during the mission is, of course, he's completely professional and does everything professionally.
Yeah.
Even that you're having those like flashes of the old killer instinct coming in responses. This is like, yeah, like you like Lloyd and that, but maybe you didn't like him in that way. If he wasn't around, some just this fun house cat coming in here.
Yeah,
the
dialogue also, her thought to the dialogue also makes it clear that internal monologue, which would actually be the correct phrase I should be using.
Yeah.
Also makes it clear part of the reason she wants to stay with Lloyd is to avoid being constantly monitored by her brother.
I don't want to make him worry. I want him like to grow the fuck up and live his own fucking life away from me and my husband and child and dog. It's fine to call it dialogue sometimes, because Anya is aware of their monologue, so that makes it dialogue, and sometimes is directly responding to it, like in this scene. So so that's always the other element in the situation. It's like, okay, it's always like it's the will they won't you, will they won't they, even though they kind of already have
okay.
Yeah, but there's always the other elements from both sides. It's from her side, it's her brother, and from your Lloyd's side, it's the job. The show does such a wonderful job of like the internal monologue versus the external, what they're actually saying and trying to hide what they're thinking, and even what they don't think themselves. But you also have a small child there in most scenes who can tell what's going on, but is a stupid small child, so can't really do anything about it. It's sorry, I'm just thinking about the current chapters where it is there's some very funny stuff in that, as well as being probably the most serious it's been so far. We've got go ahead, Darl.
No, it's mine. Sorry.
Pop Team Epic Series 2 Episode 10, The Kingdom of Nature. We start off with another CG animation from Toshiyuki Aoyama. What are they making? It's going to use some rare sugar in it.
A kind of cake, I think. Some kind of cake.
Yeah. And how much are we going to use? A tiny amount, this much, and then PPB holds the finger and thumb infinitesimally close to each other, and we zoom in and zoom out and twirl around and generally become dizzy before the credits have even started. Then we got a Kamikaze Douga short where Popoco is at the zoo and there's the opportunity to shake hands with an otter. Why does she threaten to rearrange its shape?
Because the otter like squeezes her and also like jams her thumb down like it's in a thumb wrestling kind of thing. It's being aggressive with its handshake, like someone who grabs you just by the fingers, that kind of shit. It's like, come on, man, you're better than that.
Then there's another Kamikaze Douga short where Popoco is waiting by a mouse hole with a hammer and is trying to entice Unumaru, who apparently is some sort of squid, out of the mouse hole.
That thing was on the logo as well. So is that like a different character that they have a license with, like Square Enix or something like that?
And then is it threatening her her back? I can't remember what it's doing.
It shoots her with a revolver through the head.
That's it. And she shatters like she's made of ceramic.
And she's trying to grab it, and then it's trying to put a cigarette out in her hand. It's very Tom and Jerry, basically. Yeah.
There's an Akabu short where Popoco is up in front of the judge, and the judge is like, take a step forward, defendant, take a step to the right, take a step back, take a step to the left. And essentially,
back step,
yes.
back step.
Maybe laugh both times. Yeah.
Then there's lots of Kamikaze Douga this episode. Then Popoco is so healthy, and then she munches a load of tablets, and then PP declares once again that Popoco is so healthy. And the second follow-up, Popoco is very confident as she jumps in front of flashing signs of go. There's this is the one with the dance music. Thing. Yeah. The rainbow, and then the PPV is like, drugs?
Drugs?
Which is presumably the pill she was taking in the previous shot. Then we get to the longest short, which is still quite short. Super Neko Company, The Kingdom of Nature. It appears to be a nature documentary, then it quickly turns into some sort of game show.
They're watching the footage, and you're going to have to answer a question about the footage. Like, no, you're too soon. You're buzzing in too soon, Cthulhu. Like, fucking wait a minute. Or it's a prompt. The video is a prompt for a joke you have to make or something.
You get more of that because there's differences between both parts. And in the second part, you have the little box in the corner, and they're talking over the documentary footage is going on. So it's probably so well, some stupid thing. It's one of these like daytime variety shows.
A
little funny game they're doing or something.
Yeah, the contestants are Popoco, Cthulhu, and Nyarlathotep, who can't seem to get a word in edgeways.
He's got his hand raised, but you have to hit the buzzer, Nyarlathotep. Come on.
It doesn't have to be here. No, I've had a great day out. My family will be proud of me. Yeah, all the users say that.
Then Junichi Yamamoto short. I didn't write down the breed of bird that live in Japanese parks.
Piccolino.
Yes.
Piccolino.
Yes. So the narrator is reciting when he was in the park as a boy, and these birds landing on the sort of the metal bar which stops people driving into the park. And then we zoom out to where Popoco and PPB are in government agents, and they use these birds and the metal bar to blow up a meteor which is about to destroy the planet Earth.
That's what they're there for, to save the children of Earth.
Yes, protect children's smiles.
Thank you, Piccolino.
And then one of them gives a wink to camera as it ends. I really enjoyed that one.
Very simple but effective, yeah.
Yeah.
The
rest of Kamikaze Douga ones, there's coffee refills.
Oh God, yeah, that one's intense.
Yeah, that was fairly intense, yes. It's PPB is serving coffee at her cafe. Popoco is the customer. She wants some coffee refills, and then it just becomes like a nightclub. And then PPB asks another customer if she would like a refill, and she's like trying to say no thank you in a way to get this woman to leave her alone. But PPB is having none of it. Hard cut to the end to the next one, which is just another Final Fantasy advert. This time they're playing Mahjong.
I thought my hearing was going, or like an alert was going off, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And I was like, oh, it's the alert in the game that the character is trying to ring him. I was like, oh, okay. So it tricked me.
That's how it is. I know how it's curious trying to play I play Outrun, and we should be like heading downtown for a rumble with the Yamaguchi Gumi.
Then the girls get stuck into I knew you would say that chain, where they just constantly say, I knew you were going to say whatever it was they were about to say.
Three combo.
Until one of them flubs their lines, and then they start again.
Yeah.
That was the one which reminded me most of Harry Hill bit. And then the final bit is they're in another first-person shooter. And again, Roboco is showing off her ability with guns, I think to the same person who PPB killed during the PUBG episode.
It's just the same avatar.
Yes, it is.
It's what all the jerks use, yeah.
And then it was just a bunch of animals in the end credits, wasn't it? Animal drawings.
Yeah. Went to Animal Park. It was lovely. Yeah.
It is. I've already watched next week's episode, so this one was fading a bit into. Compared to it.
This is okay. I think. The Dragon like one's even just too serious now, whereas it's a couple of sketches not doing anything completely wild, like the whole acting one or anything like that. And I thought, like, the guy hit me before. This one kind of, faded out a bit. But they still had like extra bits in the second part, so that I suppose.
Part of it is because I watched the next one's got the guys who do Kiryu and Majima in it.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's got a big section where the girls are a man's-eye act.
Yeah. I was trying. I know the lads' parts in this were the Bakuman.
Yes.
Duo. I was trying to figure out what was the thing with this. Besides that, they were both named Kumiko.
Though yes, one of them, I think her original name is the same name as what the other one uses as her performing name. But I think also
so they get confused with each other. So let's put them in the same fucking show.
Quite possibly, yeah. I looked on some Japanese blogs and they were similarly confused. The other connection is, I think they're somehow both connected to Takishobo. And I forgot to write down. Apparently, there's some connection with the people playing Cthulhu and Nyarlathotep as well.
Okay.
But I didn't write it all down.
Mystery.
Yes, again, the only obvious one, as you say, they've share the same name to the extent of one of them used to be called the name that the other one's got. But maybe they are good friends as well. That's it for Pop Team Epic. Then we got Me and Roboco, episode 1, Bondo and Roboco, which we had to watch using the evil powers of the internet. Because no one's picked it up.
If you don't give it to us, we have to steal it. Like, come on.
This is what Roboco would approve of. No, by any means necessary.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like, Bondo wouldn't, because he's official all the fucking way, but Roboco, absolutely.
I realise what will be a good indicator as to current Crunchyroll's approach to shorts is if they pick up second season of Suddenly Egyptian God when it shows up next year.
Yeah.
Because no one's picked this up. It's a 3-minute short in a 5-minute slot, and it is an adaptation of the first chapter of Me and Roboco. Which
feels like longer than 3 minutes because of the sheer amount crammed in there.
It's dense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a machine gun of gags. It is this kid, Bondo. He wants a robot made. His mum says no. Then
no pervy robots allowed.
Yes, no pervy robots. She won't be a pervy robot. Look at all the good things a robot made can do. Okay, we'll get one. One shows up, and it looks like
I would say it looks like a Beano character with Nappa's needs.
Yes, it looks like Bully Beef in a maid's dress with Nappa's needs. And then she shows off her amazing maid skills, like making a what's the meal she makes?
Oh yeah,
manly dinner.
Manly man dinner.
Yeah, the manly man dinner.
Did you think she's going to say, "Oh, rice"? I give you a hint. It's got rice in it. It's like, what is it? Is it omu rice? It's like, no, it's manly dinner, which is
this house
rice.
has been destroyed.
Is it rice with a bottle of Fanta in it?
It is.
Like
I can't remember what the third ingredient is because the bottle of
Fanta
Fanta
just
sticking.
distracts me completely. Yeah.
It's I think it's probably one of the first iconic images of this comic.
Yeah.
It's Me and Roboco in anime form. I quite like. I think the Roboco voice works better than I was expecting it to.
It's not the voice of Roboco I have in my head, but it is very funny, so that's fine. Yeah.
What's the guy the way it packs it in? There's some great timing in there where he's just opening and closing the front door and saying, "I'm not dealing with this." And he's kind of sorry, some fists to the North Star goons because she's stolen her motorbikes and all closes out, and then she's fucking beating them all up. And then that other panel always stuck with me. She seems to like shove the fucking wooden swords up their arses and then deposit them around and ring around her. Yeah, I didn't want to see that either. And as well, like, she's just, destroying things. Usually kind of like charging up like for fucking energy can or putting things out or just doing like, I'm going to do a Kamehameha to do the dishes or something like that. Just seeing all of that, animated, just in the ways like those things are done, and just adds like a little bit more to it now. Funny, it's definitely all there in the comic. It's very apparent, but you kind of see it just rush together like this. Because usually I about 15 pages when reading it in it, but it's probably one of the longer things I read because there's obviously so much.
There's a lot going on. Yeah. It makes me think though. I was like, am I reading when I'm reading the comic? Am I reading it quick enough? Because based off of this, clearly not. I'm not. No, it's just like plowing through that fucking thing.
I'm good. We all had the same response because that was my feeling as well. I was like, oh wow, this moves faster than I read a chapter. This is just a chapter.
It's just again because like the fucking visual kind of gags and things, there might be a little fucking thing on that. You're just seeing them kind of like move, and it's like you're able to kind of like keep that up, and then on or the other side you're able to keep up with the other bit of what's going on in the scene. I think it kind of gets it off like that.
Particularly
very important.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Niall. Go ahead.
Because it's very important too that they get right. We've only seen a little bit of them this time, but Motsuo and Gorilla Gachi.
Yes.
You get a preview basically of them. Yeah.
Because I did a little kind of hint of and say, no, they're like the local bullies, but they're actually totally solid lads. Part of goal, a pair of them.
He imagines his friends taking the piss out of him. It's like, you haven't order made yet? We all have order made. It's like, yeah, we're rooting for you, man. We know you can do it. And it's just like, they like bully him because they're his best friends, that kind of way. It's a weird relationship. It's a weird fucking comic. So
it is. And we should make clear, if you've never read the comic, this is not like a 4-panel gag strip. This is a full Shonen Jump strip, as long as a chapter of One Piece. So when you think that sometimes One Piece will stretch less than a single chapter out to 25 minutes, this takes an entire chapter and squashes it down to 3.
It's impressive, yeah.
That's probably the best way to describe the rate at which it moves.
Its power will only grow. I mean, there's so many like besides just like just the rapid fire fucking fun dialogue, guys. There's so many like just it's like Shonen Jump comics, and it is very open about that love. And now they're gonna express that because isn't things just done in the style of the comic that they're kind of parodying. Now it's going to be done in the style of the animation of the comic that it was parodying, of which there are many. So you get to have so much of that into the mix as well.
It's great. You'll have to seek it out for yourself, though.
That's the unfortunate part.
We're all rooting for you.
Though episode 2 is out, so we'll have something to talk about next week.
I gotta go.
Mob Psycho, Part 3, Episode 10, Mob 2, Rival. Previously on Mob Psycho, Mob was killed.
Sent to a fantasy world of... No, he's actually unconscious and bleeding out.
But then his body gets up, but with something else moving it around. And he ends up running into various other psychics we've met throughout the series who try and put a stop to the rampage that Mob's body is now going on.
Well, you say running into, but he's very slowly walking to the park to confess to the girlfriend. Is basically what's happening as the world is destroyed as he's going.
I've got something to do. I will mess you up if you get in my way.
Like the initial thing, like I nearly felt bad for him because of what was about to fucking happen, but the driver kind of going like, oh my god, I've run over a kid, and everyone going like, oh, and he's like, I better call an ambulance. It's like, wait, my phone's freaking out, what's happening? And then the entire pavement cracks around Mob, and it's like, oh, this is bad. This is very bad for everyone near Mob right now.
It's a whole thing. We know if there's other presence that's inside him when he breaks the gate essentially, and
yes.
I guess that could happen to well, if he's been knocked unconscious, but he's like, if his brain isn't fully like off, then that's just going to come out. And I guess it's just the ultimate manifest. No, if the gauge goes up, it's going to be an explosion of his own outburst of whatever he's feeling at the moment time. So that was like kind of gradually kind of building up. So it wasn't maxed out. He's kind of dealing with it an okay thing. But this is like these all seem like the most extreme expression of that. So hence, I am like 100% smitten. So I gotta go and confess to her. And no force in this universe will stop him from doing that, whatever it is. It can't be reasoned with, it can't be done with. And Hanazawa, he does his best, God bless him. If he's a rival, I gotta be the one who's like on the par with you.
I've been training too. I'm pretty good at the old psychic stuff now. Yeah, he is. He's much better than he was. But,
and it's just seeing him getting progressively just more messed up. And it's like psychic battle and spills out into like a crowded civilian area, and that's the kind of thing everyone's saying mob would never do. It's just the thing he's most afraid of his powers, but it's just whatever this is, whatever it's him is fucking just fucking putting all that fun out in him. And then it's like Hanazawa's kind of getting him in there, and the body is moving, is messing stuff up, and mob is can kind of hear this. It's like I'm trapped inside my own body, and it's fucking doing horrible things to the power I would never ever like consider.
Like Hanazawa's trying to. He's trying to get through the mob. Like, he's like, I know this isn't who you are. I know you're not the kind of person to hurt people with your powers or use them selfishly and that kind of thing. So he's trying to fight for the mob that he likes, the mob that he believes in and that kind of thing. And the mob can see it from the inside, but he can't do anything about it. And he's like, yeah, you can attack me. Don't see this as me right now. Like, attack me fully kind of thing. Don't hold back. But he's not trying to fight him. He's trying to protect all the people around is more so the thing he's concerned with, which is why in his mind he absolutely wins. He saves all those people. He sure did. Yeah. So, but he did get really fucked up in the process, and of course he loses a bunch of hair because
yes,
that's inevitable. Like,
and then the next people to run into him are Kayoma and Sakurai at the...
I was like, I know these guys, but I can't remember what they're from. But as soon as they manifested their powers, I was like, oh, yeah, you lads.
Yeah, also we get a little...
sensible haircut now.
Yes, we get a little bit of a flashback with Kayoma fighting Mob. And I think he'd gone into question mark around that time as well. So I think it was like a nice handy reference to give you a clue as to what's happening here.
Remember when he messed him up? Yeah, that was the start of all this. Oh,
it's like that. Yeah,
that's handy.
Yeah, and then we see also there is a plane full of psychic prisoners being brought to town to fight Mob's body and his powers.
I appreciated that, again, showing the old villains that it was just like, they're working in a convenience store now. They've turned a new leaf. They're going to get fucked up by Mob anyway.
Yes.
And then the Suicide Squad of psychics has to parachute in because technology doesn't work anywhere near him.
But two of you think you're better than the rest of them, because one of you is the defeated former leader of Scar, or the Claw. I forget which one now.
Scar, because they all had scars, didn't they?
Yeah, but one were the subdivision of the thing, and
one's
they're
a
all the
subdivision of
write-offs.
the other one, yes.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's the villain from the previous series. It's just, he's that dickhead, with the red hair. His son seems to be all right. I haven't seen him around here. I'm sure we'll see him very soon, because we're going to need fun. Everybody, all hands on deck to deal with this.
Yes, it's Joseph as well. He's the guy who was sent to infiltrate. Yeah, Claw was the overall organization.
And Scar was the particular group.
Scar was the group they faced in the first series that KR and the other guy were part of.
Yeah, it's just getting Hanazawa fucking just bet up like that. Well, we're bringing a dude who you won't feel too bad about seeing him fighting and him getting wrecked. It'll probably hold it up a bit better because he hasn't had decades to charge up though, so we'll see what he does this time. But I do episodes where it makes that time for of course with someone like Mob around, like someone like Hanazawa, he'll have his moments, but he won't ever be on the par with it again. It's just not how it works. So whenever you see that character, kind of secondary hero, the hero's buddy, they get in that fight and they put all their heart into it, but they're probably gonna lose anyway. But they fucking lose like a champ, Yeah,
before he fucking faints basically and says, it's like, I guess this time I won, because what he was trying to do was get through the mob and save all the people in the residential area, which he did. So it's just like, that was me achieving what I set out to do, even though I didn't beat you, because beating you was not what I was trying to do.
Yeah. I think of it a bit like Caesar from JoJo Part 2, like he moves like a champ. And even though Pop wins most of the time in Dragon Quest, he still has this kind of thing to run. Obviously, Dai is the main character. He's gonna win the fight, for fun, grit and things. But I'm just kind of really grind it out. And if I don't win, I will definitely push my opponent past their limit.
It doesn't. So it doesn't Toichiro say something to the other prisoners, particularly the one he beats up, that he's the only one there who could understand Mob.
Yeah. So I think it's maybe a One Piece type situation where it's not that he's come around and he's a good guy now. It's just that it's I get where this kid's coming from because I get lost now. That kind of thing.
Yeah, well, his whole thing, he viewed everybody as less than him because there was literally nobody on a par with him. But then there was he was this dude who funds the seeds on him, and with all that power, he decides not to try and take over the world. He decides to just do everything else. Kobe chooses not to, fun thing. I understand what it feels be this omnipotent psychic fucking power esper thing, and
could be that as well.
What I do with it. So I'm the only I know what that weight is like, what you choose to do with it.
And he does do the badass thing of jumping out of the plane without the parachute.
What I choose to do is I'm in prison now. I'm being let out and released to try and get back in this mess again.
I guess the difference might be is that he chose to do something with it, and Mob chooses not to do something with it, and that's maybe what's led to this situation in the first place.
Just touching on so many things that he grapples with, he didn't want to kind of use this thing. It likes being of help for it. When he does use it, but he couldn't conscience, got letting loose and wrecking stuff, and this is all his worst fears happening. He's trapped in his own body. He's conscious for it this time, and it's this living out this fucking waking nightmare for him.
And you see, it cuts to people, it cuts to Reagan and your man in the office going, they might have to do something about it because now it's on the news and people are like, wait a minute, isn't that Mob? They're the muscle squad are I recognize those muscles. That's Mob, that kind of thing when they're in the fallout shelter because everyone thinks it's like a natural disaster, like an earthquake. But you also have the girl he was going to confess to waiting in the park is he's
he
running
did turn up.
You probably don't want him to show up in this state, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, gotta remember Serizawa was one of the Ultimate Five in Claw, so he's got a fair bit of power he could use to help out here. What are the other guys doing?
Reagan.
There's I know, but there's the guy in the flower shop.
God, who haven't we checked in on in a while? Yeah.
Let's just check in who are the other guys.
I remember all the scars, there was to do with the whips, the mustache, there was the musty woman, there was the dude, there's kind of Jimi Hendrix looking guy with the lasers. There was it your man who put all the ghosts in the pot and makes them eat each other and to get the worst ghost of them all, but maybe Dimple ruined this whole thing with that.
Yeah, could be.
There was
Then of the big guys, then there was
the teleporter.
The guy was like Hitman because he had he had no eyes, but he could kind of see everything and teleport around. It's a real dick.
Hiroshi Shibata he's a big muscular guy, same hair as talking to or I think it might be Dandy. Pansy Potter, the strongman's daughter, arrived. A rhyme which works when you're Scottish, but not when you're not Scottish. He had the psychosteroid ability. He became very skinny afterwards. And the other guy we did see him. He was piloting the aeroplane.
Because your man actually reacts to.
Oh yeah, he was the.
Yes,
you're right.
Hattori. Yeah. And what was his ability? He controlled electronic equipment and signals at will. So yes, probably not.
Probably good to fly plane.
Oh yeah, he was a
good
hacker,
to fly plane into
a
dead zone of psychicness. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I guess we're missing the teleporter who got thoroughly humiliated, and the strong guy who none of us could remember.
I mean, Megan finished him off. That's a hard one to live down when you're.
Yeah.
He might turn up, yes, because this is the back at the end of the whole thing altogether. So bring back anybody you can, when I do that. And even we've just been seeing him most of them they've had a happy endings. You know, from you gotta like settle down and get a real job now. No more of this like psychic like from cults and domination and stuff. You gotta like.
Yeah, I mean, like those two, the two thuggish guys with the hex spiral fucking thing, and the I can turn things into swords, including tongs. It's just like they're there to defend the convenience mart that they work in. It's just like, we got to do this for the manager. Come on, let's do it. You get to see the characters grow and stuff, and even when your man's checking Twitter to see what's going on with the news of like, oh, there's a lot of natural disasters in town tonight. What's up with that? And people are like, is that place where the fucking broccoli was? You know, because people are just like, yeah, that one weird fucking town where all the weird shit happens.
Yeah. I guess it can't all be as easy that if you're to plant like empaths, then naturally you'd work in a flower shop. You can't put like psychic punch and make swords and make anything into a sword. No, this I suppose in the combini, you know, you never got to sharpen a knife. You always gonna have one on hand. That's everything you need.
Yeah.
And that's it for this week. 2 days' time, the first 2 episodes of Lupin Zero it will be out. So I guess we might add one of those. To the docket. I think High Dive? I don't know. I know it's on Crunchyroll Germany, but I assume it's High Dive in English-speaking districts. That's it. I think nothing else new to surprise. All this weird scheduling of anime now, or coming out at strange times, can confuse a chap.
Did Uncle from Another World coming back? I thought I saw someone that's talking about it. Maybe I saw it very late.
If it came back, it came back while I wasn't looking. Yeah.
I guess I could check Netflix. Would be the sensible place to look. Uncle from Another World. It's very odd that 2 isekai shows are among my favourites of the year.
It's not a bad premise. It's just how you use it.
No, the last one is 7, which has got the old red line under it, indicating that I've read it.
Maybe that's someone's getting to it very late and just on it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, could be.
I'm sure. Well, I was gonna say it's Netflix, so it won't do the Golden Kamuy thing of starting from episode 1 again. It'll just come along when it comes along. That's it for this week then. Oh, next week. Are we all free next week to do a podcast and then disappear for 2 weeks?
Let me see here.
I think I'm fine, but I'll double check.
I can't do that there. I can maybe do the 21st, for just next Wednesday.
Excellent. That suits me fine.
That should be fine, yeah.
Righty-ho. That's it for today's show. We'll be back next week with more of the same. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Oh, got to find that stop stream button. There we go.
Much faster.